AI is watching and profiling your corruption. As a Kenyan, corruption seems to be an insurmountable giant because it is so ingrained in our culture that it has become our way of living. I once heard that Christians today itemize corruption as facilitation fees in many project proposals. Many Kenyan tender-preneurs get shocked at our decision to not participate in government tenders simply because we do not wish to bribe. Yes, there are very, very many instances where we've actually been considered not very wise because we've just decided we don't want to bribe. So why is it that we've made this decision? Well, it's simply because God hates it, as Exodus 23 verse 8, which says, "Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who see and twists the words of the innocent." In other words, those people who are supposed to be giving justice to the land deny the poor their rights, and just simply not to do what is right because of corruption. And yet 85% of the population of Kenya identifies as Christians, according to the Kenya Population and Housing Census of 2019. So I decided that I would not be that Kenyan that bribes. Yeah, I refuse to bribe. I would love to say that my very deliberate decisions are for many different reasons, but it's simply my faith. Just the simple fact that God hates it and He calls it wickedness because it perverts justice, and just it's not right. And unfortunately, Kenya, we've just accepted it. And so for that reason, I just decided, well, I'm not just going to be that one Kenyan that's going to try and live differently. My decision has not been easy. It has come at a price. There are very many times I've missed the police cell by a whisker, but so far God has been faithful and He's protected me. So I'm going to tell you a story of how AI actually was able to profile us as one of the stores that can be trusted to sell prices and not just to sell products and just not bribe and do what is right. So I recently became a friend with a lady, Malcola LG, Lady LG, a UK citizen and a resident who's actually running a feeding program in Nairobi. Lady LG reached out to me looking for food prices for a few products she required for the school feeding program that she manages. Food prices is our most frequently asked question, and so our standard response is visit the website www.bettergrains.com, which has all our retail, our wholesale, and prices per bag. We also provide prices from the Ministry of Agriculture as well as prices from other countries. So when I provided Lady LG with the information, I also she looked at the prices. We also gave her the option of visiting our marketplace, which is www.mothersofafricamobilesoko.com, which hosts our online shop. So Lady LG was okay with the prices. However, her challenge was with food portions. We sell a lot of products, especially the porridge, to many schools and children's home. That combined with a very price sensitive walk-in customer has enabled us to be very, very good at calculating food portions per serving. I know we have schools, even households, where we have to measure small portions of food because either the house help cannot be trusted to just use 2 kilograms of porridge flour or even rice or other household products without just wasting it or selling it. We've seen all sorts of drama or even schools, staff cannot be trusted to just do what is right and measure and not steal. But that's the country that we have. That's the Kenya that we are, which is unfortunate, but that's what we encounter a lot of. So Lady LG, I didn't realize had run into this problem, because the portions that she was being told to buy for the school feeding programs were a lot, and her budget was very high, and so she needed help calculating the food portions. Having done it so many times, very many times, it didn't take a whole lot of time for us to be able to figure out how to help her. So we willingly helped her to calculate the food prices, and so after we gave her that calculation, she also needed help with other food items which we do not sell at the shop. And again, I did the best of my ability to give her referrals to other vendors where she could actually reach out and get the products that she needed. Well, by the time it was done, it turns out that Lady LG had a very difficult trick trying to find reasonable prices for the feeding programs. Those entrusted with the operations of the feeding program were being the usual corrupt Kenyans. They were biting the hand that was feeding them, just as the president of the United States of America is busy complaining about the Kenyan government's corruption on matters concerning the U.S. government aid to Kenya. So we helped Lady LG, a UK citizen, to the best of our ability, and when finally she was able to order the things, imagine my shock when she came back and she told me that she had been able to reduce her school feeding program by 60% before even returning back to the UK. As a Kenyan, this saddens me, because it's not unusual for Kenyans, even those in the diaspora. You send money to take care of your family, or even when you're in the city, you send money to take care of your family in the village, and they cheat. You give them money to buy products, they inflate it. You give money for them to do a job, they steal from you, and this is really saddening, and it's something that we really need to look at changing. But anyway, it's what it is, and so we have a problem, and it's very sad that that's where we've gotten to. So the interesting story about Lady LG was, I later, when we were done talking, I asked her, so how are you able to find me? I mean, how did you find better grades? And it turns out that she went to chat GPT. In her frustrations, she just went and said, who typed and said, who really can help an organization like ours? Because Kenya is what it is. And funny enough, that's how we better grains showed up. Interestingly, it's sad that people who are supposed to be helped are so corrupt that people have to go back to chat GPT to be able to ask who will do right. Anyway, a recommendation from chat GPT caught me off guard, because chat GPT suggested that our business could be trusted. I had no idea that we had ranked so highly when it comes to integrity. What I later came to realize was that there's a story I had shared many years ago about walking away from a huge contract just because I had refused to inflate the price of an accommodation receipt, so that I could share some money with my supervisor. I had no idea that story had gotten into the scope or the sphere of ChatGPT. And again, so my question, even as a Kenyan, and this is to challenge you, I'm here to tell you that AI has your digital profile. And the question is, what is your digital profile saying? Do you know that every time you put out something, every nasty comment, every legal tussle that you're involved in, every case that you have engaged in, it's all been added up to create a profile on you, a digital profile on you. And the thing is, it all sums up, and then it's going to be able to determine whether you get business or not. And we're grateful because our story, which had somehow made its way into the internet, was able to just be factored in and be the deciding factor that was able to recommend us. And more so, it for me, it was good to just know that there can be exceptions to this culture. They're actually individuals who've just decided, you know what, I will not do what everybody else is doing. So a little bit about the story and how I found what I found myself into. So many years ago, while consulting for a project, I found myself being asked to inflate prices for my accommodation so that I could give my project supervisor a cut. My supervisor was a Christian, and according to him, it was a normal way of doing business in Kenya. At that time, at the time the request was being made, I had many pending payments from assignments that he was in charge of. I had completed 2 assignments, and he was the deciding factor on whether I would get paid or not. He was the signatory. And so here I was, I have payments that need to be paid, and then here's another one, or the third one that needs to be paid, but unfortunately now he's asking that I corrupt receipts so that he can get a cut. And so I found myself in an awkward situation, and so I sought advice from my circle of prayer partners, and unfortunately for me, half of them said, he's just a Christian like you are, just obey your boss and let God judge him. And the other half was like, how can you even think of doing such a thing? And so I was caught in between. Who do I listen to? And I think for me, what was difficult is because I couldn't hear that small still voice. So it was hard. Another incident I remember was one time I didn't realize the back tires of my pickup were worn out and needed to be replaced. So I was stopped by a police officer, and I did lie to the police officer. I admitted that by yes, my tires were not where they should be, and I promised to replace them after I was done with the meeting where I was headed to. And of course, as usual with the Kenya police, by this time the police officer had already gotten into my car, and he was demanding a bribe, something small, and I told him, I'm sorry, I can't bribe. He would not hear of it and insisted on taking me to the police station. At that particular time, he'd already taken my driver's license. So I decided, okay, no problem, let's go to the police station. But since it's my car and I'm the driver, we're going to go to the police station of my choice. So I started the car. I was going to another police station. He was so furious. Oh my goodness. I thought he was going to hit me. And I just told him, but you told me we go to a police station. Let's just go to the one I chose. And then the fury on his hand, at that time I thought, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. And so he started shouting at me. He was so shocked because what I did is I closed my eyes and I told God, remember I told you how I promised you I would not bribe. Here I am, is a policeman who's threatening me. He wants a bribe, and if you don't show up, I'm about to get in trouble. I don't even know what that police officer saw. But the next thing I knew, he had taken off my car, he threw the driver's license at me, and he took off running. Until today, I'm not so sure what he saw. I don't know if he God himself showed up or what happened, but I remember he took off. But immediately, the speed at which he took off, I was just left in laughter. I really laughed myself to tears. And so I went for my meeting, but when just before I started the car, I realized the police officer had left his club in my car. You know, that stick that they normally walk with. At some moment I thought, why don't I just keep it to myself as a souvenir to remind myself of the sort of day I had. But I quickly realized that if I kept the his club that would also be stealing. So I decided, okay, I would return it. So I went for my meeting. I passed by his police station. I dropped the club, and I went and bought myself some tires. I digressed. So back to my consulting story. So after close to 1 year, I mean, one of the things I decided is because I didn't know what to do. That was a difficult decision for me. Do I follow what half of my friends from the prayer meeting are telling me, the guy is just a Christian as you are, is your boss, obey? Or do I follow what the other ones are telling me? I cannot engage in judgment. And I think for me, the deciding factor was because I really couldn't hear. I couldn't hear that still voice that normally guides and directs me. So I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna drop out of the project. So I just abandoned everything and left it. So close to a year later, almost a year later, I decided, why don't I follow up and check on to see what actually happened to my payments, at least for the completed assignment. So when I called, I was asked to come in to discuss if I was available for any additional consulting work from the organization that I had dropped the project. And so, of course, needless to say, the conversation started with, they wanted to know why I had dropped out of a particular assignment. And so I was honest. I told them I was being asked to bribe, and I was just not comfortable doing it. So I dropped out. The interesting thing was, it turns out that the supervisor was asking me to bribe. I'd already been left the organization. I was able to receive my full payments for the work that I had done, and I also got additional work from the project, which I must say worked out very well for me. I got more work. I was able to do more consultant work, and the interesting things is, you will not believe what eventually happened. Out of the blues, one day, the supervisor who had long left called me, demanding that since I had gotten additional work, he wanted a cut for it. Well, guess what? I decided, okay, I'll keep quiet, and that was the last time I saw it. You know what? In life, sometimes you just have to decide that people you need in your life and people that you do not need in your life. So why do I share this story about corruption? I just wanted to let people know, especially Kenyans, that AI has profiled you and is using your digital profile to recommend and extend business opportunities to you. AI, especially Google's Gemini, has run and can run and actually has run a digital analysis and developed a CV profile on you. So for example, these days, it's not those days when you just used to send a letter and a CV. It's more than that. Headhunters and corporate recruiters are running their job advertisements using AI. I know many of you, I don't know if you know this, but in Kenya, a lot of companies were just using technology to be able to sort CVs. And what they were doing is they were just matching the words against the job description with the words on your CV. And because people got very clever and started tailoring their CVs to look exactly like the job description, now headhunters have taken it a step further, and they are looking at AI. And AI is actually able to recommend jobs for you. It's actually able to tell you if you qualify for that job. It's actually able to even customize a CV for you, and it's also able to draft a cover letter for you, including telling you who you need to be able to address that letters to. So Kenyans, in the middle of crying that there are no jobs, just know that all that stuff you've been writing and on social media is being tracked, and there's a digital profile that has been created about you. And then also know that there are jobs where if you're doing good and you've been also active in social media, there are jobs that will be recommended for you. And then the other thing I also wanted to say about headhunters and corporate recruiters is they're also looking at the content that you're putting out. You can't be saying you're into marketing or you're you're a digital content creator, and yet there's nothing on you on social media. So the fact that you're doing videos, are you able to, do they have videos on you? Do they have shorts on you? Do they have reels on you? Are you a subject matter expert? All these things are adding and building to. So those days when we used to say, no, I don't want social media, guess what? Social media is what is being used to get jobs. And in fact, it's actually an excellent tool. Like, for example, when we look at because of the content that we've been putting out on trade and making markets work for African farmers, traders, and women, especially women and youth, what what has done is we're being more picked out and highlighted as market experts in terms of the grain trade. So yes, just like Lady LG took her frustrations on Kenyan's corruption to ChatGPT, asking if there's an organization that will be able to address her problem, guess what? The AI will recommend organizations and will recommend individuals based on the work that you're doing. The other thing I also noticed recently is that AI has actually changed Gemini and ChatGPT. They've changed my profile. They've decided I'm a public figure, a Pan-African for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. When did we get there? It just decided, it analyzed, it looked at the content that I was producing, the hashtags that I was using, and decided that's what I'm doing. So yeah, AI is going to be profiling you. AI is going to determine if you're good for a particular job or not. Guess what? And if do not even fool yourself into thinking that you can just get AI to create a CV for you, because chances are the same AI CV you're producing is the same one the recruiter would be able to use, and they'll be able to tell if you did any work or not, or you just let AI do it for you. So my recommendations and the purpose of doing this video is to just encourage someone who's just decided they will not be corrupt, that to know that eventually it pays off. AI will recommend business opportunity. It will create a CV based on your online profile, and then it will also keep a record of every corrupt deal, every court case, every comment you ever made. I remember we recently ran into a problem. There's someone who wanted to work with us, and yet they had been involved in tax fraud, and there was a lot of content about their profile, and we couldn't work with them, and they were busy wondering, why can't you work with me? Why would we work with you when there's already a profile indicating that you've involved yourself in tax fraud? Why would we even engage on? Why would even be having a discussion with you? So these things are real. We need to be very careful, especially as Kenyans. It's catching up to us, and my prayer is that at least we will get to that point where we just decide, you know what, corruption can no longer be part of our lives. And a lot of technology has made strides in making sure that some of these those systems and processes that used to be would delay and deny justice to us, some of them have been eliminated because of technology. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Again, my name is Faustina Mani. I'm the Global Trade Engagement Director at Better Grains. I'm the founder of a private marketplace called Mothers of Africa Mobile Soko, and we are making markets work for African farmers, traders, and youthful professionals, especially women and youth. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless. Bye-bye.